I have a hot take. Magic and science are the same thing. Because when you stop to think about it, magic isn't about breaking the laws of the world. It's just a new set of laws. In Harry Potter, for example, you wave a wand in just the right way and speak in the right language, and the world bends to your will. In Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
martial skill and spiritual discipline allow you to literally command the elements. In The Witcher, a few quick gestures can unleash blinding fire or invisible force, while deeper, more dangerous rituals can twist fate itself. But no matter how strange these things are, inside their own universes, they make sense. Magic is supposed to be something that transcends our understanding. But when it's placed neatly inside a fictional world with rules, boundaries, and exceptions, is it still magic? Or is it just science with another name? Once you start noticing that fictional magic has rules, you eventually realize that those rules fall on a spectrum. On one end is hard magic. Magic with clearly defined boundaries and precise instructions. This is the kind of magic you can almost imagine existing in real life, because the rules are so clear you could write them in a textbook. In Full Metal Alchemist, alchemy obeys the law of equivalent exchange. You can't create something without giving something of equal value in return.
It is impossible to create something out of nothing. If one wishes to obtain something, something of equal value must be given. This is the law of equivalent exchange, the basis of all alchemy.
In Mistborn, swallowing and burning certain metals gives you very specific powers. Steel lets you push against metal, pewter makes you stronger. But you can't do anything without the right materials in your system. It's structured, it's logical. And then, on the other end of the spectrum, you have soft magic. This is the magic of mystery, where the rules are unclear, maybe even non-existent. It's less about what the characters can do, but more about how it makes you feel. In The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf's power is hinted at but never fully explained. Sometimes he can summon light, sometimes he can speak words of command, but you never get a full idea of his abilities. In Princess Mononoke, the supernatural is woven into the world itself. Forest spirits, ancient curses, living gods of nature, all of them strange, ethereal, and never really explained. The fascinating thing is that both hard and soft magic can work brilliantly, but they work for completely different reasons. Hard magic satisfies our hunger for order. Soft magic feeds our hunger for awe. And yet, most modern fantasy seems to prefer one over the other.
Center, the crystal of truth, the heart of Thra, and the source of all life.
If rules decide how magic works, then the next question is, where does it come from? Every fantasy world has its own answer, but most fall into a handful of patterns. One of the most common is innate talent. You're either born with magic or you're not. In Harry Potter, this is the sharp divide between wizards and muggles. In Aragon, the ability to work magic is tied to the ancient language of spells, and in some cases, to a rare bond with dragons themselves. You can't buy your way into this kind of power. You can only be lucky enough to inherit it, which is just unfair. Then there's study and discipline.
This is a pretty basic move, but it still took me months to perfect.
The idea that anyone can learn magic if they're willing to pay the price in time and effort. Doctor Strange spends months poring over forbidden books and practicing impossible gestures until they're muscle memory. In The Wheel of Time, the Aes Sedai dedicate years to mastering the one power, weaving threads of elemental force with precision and care. This kind of magic is almost comforting in its accessibility. No chosen birthright, just relentless practice. But this creates a curious question. If magic can be learned like any other skill, does it still feel magical? Sometimes magic comes as a gift or a curse from something far greater than yourself.
Why, God? How did I disappoint you?
You were incapable of believing in yourself.
In Dungeons and Dragons, a cleric's power flows directly from the deity they serve. In Sailor Moon, mystical artifacts and celestial guardians bestow their champions with otherworldly abilities. This kind of magic is about relationships, oaths, and destiny. But gifts like these aren't always freely given, and they almost always have strings attached. And then there's the magic you can hold in your hands, artifacts and technology. In Final Fantasy VII, glowing materia crystals store elemental power that you can call upon at will. In The Legend of Zelda, a sword might be more than just steel, it might remember battles fought centuries ago. But when magic is stored in objects, it invites an uncomfortable thought. If magic can be traded, stolen, or mass-produced, is it still yours? Every good magic system, fictional or not, understands that power without cost is just wish fulfillment, and these costs come in many forms. The most obvious is energy drain. In the Elder Scrolls, your magicka pool empties with every spell until you're left defenseless.
In their tongue, he is Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
In the Dragon Prince, dark magic literally burns away the life essence of magical creatures, leaving a trail of ethical and ecological ruin. This kind of limit keeps magic from becoming casual. Every use carries a little bit of loss, but these losses invite the question, what are you willing to spend? Some costs are less visible. Mental strain means the danger isn't in your body, but in your mind. In the Wheel of Time, male channelers risk madness itself, their power poisoned by a cosmic taint. In Star Wars, the temptation of the dark side promises strength at the expense of the self.
What have I done?
You're fulfilling your destiny, Anakin. Become my apprentice. Learn to use the dark side of the Force.
Magic isn't just about what you can do, it's about what it can do to you. And once your mind bends too far, there's rarely a way to unbend it. Other magic demands rare components. In Harry Potter, certain potions require ingredients so obscure they feel like quests all by themselves. In Fullmetal Alchemist, the Philosopher's Stone demands something unthinkable, human life.
Damn it! I get it now. Why they all call this quest the Devil's Errand. Why they either quit their research or are driven insane by it.
Easy.
The secret, Hal. The last ingredient of the stone. It's live human beings.
These aren't just plot devices, they're a way of telling the audience that magic always has a supply chain, and supply chains can be broken. And then there's the moral cost. The price paid not in stamina, sanity, or ingredients, but in who you become. In Berserk, demonic power is brought with human sacrifice. In The Magicians, magic can destabilize the very fabric of reality. It's a reminder that some powers, once used, change the world in ways you can't take back. But here's the uncomfortable part. In fiction, we always know what the cost is, but in life, we rarely do. If magic shapes individuals, it inevitably shapes the societies they build. And in many stories, magic isn't just a mysterious force, it's an everyday tool. In Discworld, it runs the post office, powers streetlights, and keeps golems working through the night. In worlds like these, magic is as ordinary as plumbing, still impressive, but woven so deeply into daily life that people barely notice it. Which makes you wonder, if something miraculous becomes mundane, is it still miraculous? Of course, power is rarely content to stay in the kitchen or the workshop. In many worlds, magic is a weapon, a resource to be hoarded or fought over. In Game of Thrones, dragons are the ultimate military asset, symbols of sovereignty that can burn armies to ash. The Red Priests wield miracles that sway kings and ignite wars. When magic becomes a tool of politics, it stops being just a wonder and starts being a currency of fear. But the more a society uses magic in this way, the more it risks being dependent on it. Magic can also occupy a sacred or forbidden space in culture. In The Witcher, sorceresses aren't just spellcasters, they're advisors, manipulators, and sometimes kingmakers. Their power straddles the line between religion and politics, and their influence shapes entire kingdoms. Sacred magic can unite people, but it can just as easily divide them. And once a society decides a kind of magic is forbidden, it raises a new question. Are they protecting themselves or protecting the magic itself? Then there's the economy. In Final Fantasy XIV, magic isn't abstract at all. It's something you can buy, sell, and trade, whether that's enchanted weapons or potions brewed to order. A healthy market in magic items can make a society flourish or collapse if that magic falls into the wrong hands. In fiction, societies usually survive these dangers, but in reality, the cost of magic might not be so kind. No matter how carefully a magic system is built, there comes a moment when it bends or outright breaks its own rules. Sometimes this is exhilarating. Other times, it feels like the floor has been yanked out from under the story. In The Lord of the Rings, the sudden arrival of the eagles at the end is still debated to this day. It's a breathtaking rescue for some, but a too convenient escape for others. Moments like this can make the world feel bigger and stranger, or they can make it feel like the rules never mattered at all. When this happens without care, it becomes the dreaded Deus Ex Machina, the god from the machine swooping in to solve a problem the characters couldn't. Weak fantasy often leans on this, letting magic erase tension instead of deepening it. The result is a kind of narrative amnesia. You forget the stakes, because the story can simply conjure a solution at will. And if a story can solve any problem with magic, then why should we fear the problems at all? But when rule breaking is done well, it's rarely a surprise in the moment. Instead, it's a revelation. Foreshadowing is the secret here. Subtle hints, odd details, and throwaway lines that seem meaningless until they come together. Even wild magic can work if the audience feels deep down that the seeds were always there. Then the breaking of the rules doesn't shatter the illusion. It expands it. It reminds us that the world is a bigger place than we thought, and that there are still mysteries waiting beyond the edge of the map. And sometimes, those are the moments we remember the most, the ones that leave us wondering what else the world was hiding from us all along. Speaking of this, have you noticed that vampires are in almost every culture despite not being real? Watch this video to find out why.